Hello there. So we're walking on what used to be a World War II era paved asphalt road. The section we're on now is now the Lost Valley Trail. And I'm heading to the last section out here in Weldon Spring I have to explore, where I think there's a possibility of finding something interesting. And that's the upper mounds, or the mounds at the northern part of Lost Valley. And from there I'll probably take off from the mounds and bushwhack through a couple of valleys to the old bunker. Haven't been there in a while. And bushwhack back up to the short loop. Just make a loop hike out of this. Probably 7-8 miles total. Not too bad. So if you watched my video from a few weeks ago where I explored the mounds off the short loop trail, another old roadbed, then got the feeling that those were debris mounds where they had bulldozed the buildings from when they made TNT and enriched uranium out here. We had foundation parts, cables, pipes, all that sticking out of the sides of the mounds where they'd eroded away a little bit. I'm kind of expecting that up here. This area we're going to, sorry, I'm dealing with a sinus infection and I just got finished going uphill. So the area we're going to now was what was called Mechanicsville, and it's the area where they had all their trades buildings, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and all of that for maintenance of all the activity that was going on out here at the time. And I expect that these are going to be debris mounds as well. But if memory serves, they're much larger. It's a more intricate network of mounds, and there was asphalt roads going through it too. But it's been a few years, so I'm curious to see if my memory serves me correctly. So we're not to the section with the mounds yet. This looks a little interesting. It's obviously was an old road here, was not paved, it was dirt. And we have a couple of cleared areas here in the bush with some, looks like old trash on it. You know, just curious to see what's over here. Maybe a piece of clay pipe. Let's look around a bit. I don't really see anything else. Let's get back to the trail and head up to the mounds. Finding that clay pipe was interesting. Here I am back on what was an asphalt road, mostly gravel now. 17,000 acres, and it's difficult for me to imagine the amount of development that was here in the 1940s through the 1960s. Everywhere in the woods I'll find signs of structures or a road or fire hydrants out in the middle of the woods. This entire area must have had quite a bit of development at one time. And then my assumption is it was bulldozed and nature reclaimed it, because it really doesn't give that appearance today. The trail we're on parallels this fence. This on the other side is National Guard property. I'm sure at one time it was an effective deterrent. Obviously that was a long time ago. But the Guard recently brush hogged this dirt road adjacent to the fence. I've been out here at times where they were having some kind of practice. You could hear munitions going off. Some of it sounded quite large actually, and what sounded like tanks occasionally too, and helicopters. So they took a big chunk of the 17,000 acres right out of the middle, and even though the fence is down in quite a few places, I really don't think it's a wise idea to explore it. Well, that did not work out as planned. Around this curve, pretty soon this trail becomes the short loop, branches off behind me for the main part of the Lost Valley Trail. Over here is a long unused gate onto the guard property. From back, I'm going to assume when these roads were still active. I'll show you that, then we'll go down this way and bushwhack in through an old foundation to the old bunker, and then up across a couple of valleys into the back of the mounds. It's overgrown so much over the last few years, I really couldn't see them from the trail. Wow, this is a new gate. The old one was really dilapidated and pretty ripped open. So I guess they're still concerned about securing this area. That's pretty cool. Obviously the road through here is overgrown completely. Let's get back on the trail. So last winter I did a couple of videos with this old system, cable system in them. These are spaced about every 10 to 12 feet and run for miles through the hills and valleys here. Sometimes you'll still see the old cable that was hooked up here and some other bits and pieces, a little unique to that, some brackets and bracing. It's kind of interesting. No clue what this would have been used for, but kind of cool. Back to the trail. Ah, there's a hole under here. Looks pretty deep. Perhaps that was a cap, I'm not sure. Let's look at this big foundation over here about 50 feet. This is the largest foundation I'm aware of out here. Ouch. These I-beams are really interesting. A lot of them are joined together. If I could see pictures from when this was all active, that would be really cool. So we're going to go back to the trail just for a short jaunt, and then we're going to bushwhack down to the bunker. Hopefully it's easier to find this time. So what's interesting about this foundation is centered on each side, each of the four sides, is this little concrete pad with a couple of steps. So there would have been 4 doorways, one on each side of the building, and in the floor are pipes that look like they were supply lines and sewer lines. So it's interesting to imagine what that would have been used for. I really have no idea. I can't even guess at that. All right, we're going to go back up to the trail into the woods. It'll do. Alright, so here's my jumping off point into the woods. This concrete slab on top of a bigger slab. It's kind of like my landmark. The other one is there's an old roadbed on the other side of that large foundation we were just at that's very overgrown. I remember the woods here being a lot more open, so we'll come from the uphill side of this bunker complex, which is down in the bottom of a valley, instead of from the downhill side going this way. I just have to remember, because I only came out of there one time. I've never gone this way before. So, wish me luck. I was just thinking, wouldn't it be funny if I didn't find the bunker or the mountains today? It'd be a pretty pathetic video. It does happen though. So I don't remember if I need to go down the first valley or the second valley. I guess the safest thing is to investigate this first valley, and then we'll just take it from there. Doesn't seem right though, but it's been a while. Alright, this is the back end of the bunker complex, the uphill side. It sits on the hill between the first and second valley. We'll go around this corner, and there's a pair of open double gates, and we'll get into that and then head down the hill. This is huge. It's got this huge pipe feeding into it with about a 3 to 4 foot diameter. This ladder that goes from the top to the bottom. And obviously people have been there. You see the graffiti. Here's the ladder going down. Looks like it's missing the top support. Here's that large pipe coming up out of the ground to dump into this containment facility. Some major cables holding that thing down too. That pipe, I assume, leads from the bunker, but I don't know that for sure because there are several pipes like that into the bunker. I want to show you somebody's little camp here, and then we'll go down the spillway to the bunker. So camping is not allowed here. They close at 10 p.m. and open at 4 a.m. But yeah, looks like a good project. It looks like fun. We've got a couple of buckets here for storage, cast iron skillet, the tarp, and they've got some cable going down the steep hill to the bunker. That's pretty wild. Let's go down this way. So they've done a bit of work here, some clearing. They've got a bungee to hold on to, and they've notched steps going down this hill. I know there's a site similar to this at the top of the quarry, just off the Katy Trail. It's a bit larger than this one though. I wonder if it's the same people. Alright, so what we're currently looking at is the concrete wall for the spillway, the retaining wall. The water would be on our side of the wall. We're at the convergence of two valleys here just beside the bunker. The concrete structure behind this wall is the bunker. The uphill side is more buried in the ground than the downhill side. So even though it's full of dirt and leaves, if you look where all these fallen trees are, that is the concrete spillway out of the first valley, and we're standing currently where all these fallen trees are in the concrete spillway from the second valley. So these two brick pillar type structures are solid, and they have hardware like iron brackets and rings mounted into the concrete on the top of them. So they supported something here. These are just uphill across the spillway from the bunker. We're currently walking down the spillway. You can see the bunker to your right. It's pretty swampy down here at the bottom. We'll go ahead and get towards the front of the building and come in from the doorway that's on this side of the structure. This is actually my first time to enter this building from this side. I'm not sure I can make it to that scaffolding. This mud is thick and looks like soupy. I don't know how far I'd sink. You can see the scaffolding on this side. There's scaffolding on the other side. We have these pipes with multiple outlets in them. We have a lot of lights and piping at the top. This kind of suspended rail structure. We have some ceiling gas heaters. We have a huge array of electrical panels over there. And something I've never looked inside of before because I've never been in this corner of the building is this little room here in the corner, which has a urinal. So that was the restroom. Let's see if I can get it around the corner. Okay, and that's funny, they have glass on the door into the restroom. All right, there's enough debris on the ground. Oh, the floor is out of the scaffolding though. I'm gonna see if I can get over to this ladder. This isn't sketchy at all. But you can see the floor is out of the first 4 sections of the scaffolding. We go all the way across to the back and then it goes up to an elevated platform. There are outlets around all the walls. Here's a smaller electrical panel right here by the entry. On the side we came in on. I've always come in from the other side. And we had what I have always called like a coffin door because that's the way it looks. But now I'm not sure what it is. I've never seen it up this close before. And there are 5 or 6 of these in the floor, front to back. I have no idea. You know what? Now I think they're concrete platforms to support some kind of equipment. What was this building used for? There's piping under the scaffolding here on the other side. You can see all the outlets. You could see, of course, all the water here. Now, usually this is bubbling up from multiple springs and just flowing in a stream out of the doors here at the very front, these double doors. This is the most dry by far that I've ever seen this structure. All right, so this is a much better inspection of this building than I did last year coming in from the other side. That scaffolding was totally collapsed now on the other side. How cool is this? If anyone watching has any idea what this structure was used for, please let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. So here's the front of the bunker. This is probably the cleanest side. On the opposite side with the other scaffolding and doorway, the valley comes down really close to that edge of the building. This is a little more open on this side. Probably why they had this extra room here. Concrete retaining wall for the spillway. Must have, it was built to handle a large volume of water for sure. Okay, so we're standing in the spillway, and if you look up at the top of this hill, where it's fairly level, that is where that containment, that round containment structure is. We're going to head back up there and then go off to the right and bushwhack up to the mounds. I've only done that once, and that was maybe 15 years ago, so I'm hoping I can find it today. You know, in looking at the lay of the land here, it's possible that containment structure would be filled with some fluid, some liquid of some kind, maybe water, who knows. That is a really big pipe. I wonder where the other end of it is. And then it just kind of gravity flowed through this, what I call this bunker building. That's a possibility. We're pretty much, I would say the depth of that structure is 40 feet, maybe 50 tops. And that's probably about how far down we are from the top of that structure. That's interesting. All I could do is just guess. I have never found any information on what was actually out here at the time it was being used. So there are double gates in front of that bunker, 150 feet or so, but they're locked. But the fence structure, if you're facing the bunker from the front, on your left, it's down for about a third of it because of fallen trees. So that's a good way to get in there too. Now, being out here today may not be the best thing for the sinus infection, It's good tonic for the soul anyway. So we're going to exit this compound complex the way we came in, wrap around the uphill side of this, drop down into the next valley. Then I believe coming out of that, we'll hit the back of the mounds. It may be one more valley over. We'll explore that. Like I said, it's been 15 years and I only did it once, but I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm having a blast. Here we are towards the end of February, and it's supposed to be 60, mostly sunny. And of course we have a cold front coming in today, later today, but right now it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm loving how mild this winter has been so far. This is really a large fenced-in area. We're over halfway across the back side of this fencing, and it still continues all the way down into this next valley and across the valley to the next hill. This is a very large compound area. I've never been able to explore it very thoroughly. It's super dense brush, but I have a feeling there could be more in there that I'm not aware of. I could be wrong also. Boy, it's thick up here. It's really slow going. Alright, it probably won't show up on camera, but I'm beginning to see evidence of where the earth has been moved around. So we should be pretty close. It's just a matter of getting through all this brush. Alright, we're getting closer already. Here's some old copper braided cable. What a beautiful patina. No idea, probably for grounding of something. Alright, we're just on the edge of a cedar grove. I can see some small mounding. I'm going to look for larger mounds and old road beds. It's been a while since I've been here, but it was quite an extensive network of mounds, much larger than the other ones I did a few weeks ago. Alright, this is wicked cool. I know I say I'm sorry, excuse me. I know I say in pretty much every video, you never know what you'll find in the middle of the woods, but we are solidly in the middle of the woods. There's not a path, a game trail, or anything around here. So I can't even imagine, but that's kind of interesting. I can't imagine, but there's a lot of these. They stacked up. It built like a corral pen with an opening right here. Kind of like a concrete bird bath base, cinder block, this old metal panel off something, a fire pit, somebody really has put a lot of work into this, all these down trees that they made this corral fence out of. We're up on top of one of the mounds, one of the smaller mounds. That is really cool. If this is yours and you're watching the video, well done. That's a lot of work. It'd be a fun place to hang out. And I did not disturb it. So now I'm really curious to know where that concrete and metal came from that they used here. I can't imagine they carried it in from very far. It had to be around in this area somewhere. That pedestal base, concrete pedestal base, cracks me up though, because that seems fairly new, not like something you'd find out here. I'm definitely keeping my eyes peeled though. Alright, so I'm making my way through the brush and I see this clearing and I made my way to it. It's an old road bed that hasn't totally overgrown yet. I'm going to explore that, but then I saw this survey marker right here on the side of the old road bed. We are way out in the middle of the woods, not even close to a trail. So there just must have been, I know there was a railroad network out in here, but the road network must have been really extensive, or here in the mounds, they must have had a lot of structures, like with Mechanicsville or something along those lines, that just kind of got bulldozed away. And then it's overgrown. It's pretty wild. So here you can see it's kind of an open area, like an old road bed. Same thing behind the camera. So we're going to go this direction first, and then we'll reverse and go that direction. and see what we find. Hopefully something cool. Alright, I've gone about as far as I'm going to go in this direction. It's all pretty level. We're just on a ridge line up here, and it's not moundy or anything like that. And it's pretty thick, and it's getting thicker. So I'm really thinking we're going the opposite direction of where we need to go. I want to find it's been a long time, but I do remember distinctly a section of really large mounds, widely spaced, and chunks of asphalt in between them, what's left from the asphalt roads. I just don't remember where that was, but I know it was in this area, so that's what I'm looking for right now. We're going to go back the other way. So this is a large cleared area. Looks like maybe a Y intersection for old roads. We were coming in from behind the camera. I have a really steep drop off into a valley over here. I know the trail is much farther over in that direction, and the mounds were right off the trail, so possibly I'm way outside the area I need to be in right now, but I've never been here, so I'm gonna check it out. Now it just ends about right here, and this ridge line just kind of starts to drop off this direction over here. And somewhere over here is the trail, which is kind of the way I need to go. So I think I'm going to follow this ridge line. Looks like it drops into a valley. And the trail, of course, is on another ridge line. I really have no clue where I am, to be honest with you. I am way out somewhere. But it's really a mystery to me why the brush is so dense, except for this one area. I don't know. Well, on we go. So I'm just walking along through the woods, no idea where I am, but no previous signs of civilization, old roads, or anything like that. And then I find this. It's an old bucket. Of course it's been shot a few times. What old bucket hasn't? Just out here on the ground. Nothing else around. Wild. Alright, so it's been a bit, and this is the most lost I've ever been out here. I'm really not concerned, don't misunderstand that, but I know I'm really far away from anything at this point, any kind of trail or notion of how to get back to where I'm parked. So I took a compass bearing. I'm going to bear north-northeast through this valley, and I'm hoping to find the trail. And I mean, there's still time to look at the mounds if I could find those. Oh well, it's just another adventure, but you know, it's time to set a bearing and get out of here. I could wander around all day out here. Alright, I'm down at the bottom of the valley. It hasn't been too bad going so far. I'm still bearing north-northeast, roughly 12 degrees. And we're going to be going up this hill. I'm hoping at the top of that hill is the Lost Valley Trail. If not, we'll just stick to our bearing and we should find it. The trail's in a loop out here. It's a large 12-mile loop, so it's, you know, pretty big, but if I stick to one bearing, I will eventually find the trail at some point. So, up the hill. So it's kind of funny how quickly it goes from having a general sense of where you are to having no idea of where you are or which direction you really need to go. This was going to be my second time to actually do that bushwhack. The first time, like 15-20 years ago, I had no problems. This time I am totally off course and just way outside of where I need to be. I know how to get back. I'm not concerned. It's not my first rodeo with this kind of thing, you know. But I remember my first few times and it was a little scary. Alright, so we're up at the top of this hill. That helicopter is not searching for me. Probably guard copter. Alright, so we're up at the top of this hill, and this is not it. So I've still got farther to go. I don't know how far. I want to say Wow, that chopper is close. We'll have to say though, oh no, it's not guard, but brush is much more dense up here at the top of the hills than down in the valleys. It's a lot rougher going, a lot of briars. And so it's 60 degrees. Ticks don't hibernate for season, they hibernate for temperature. So they'll be under the leaf litter, places like that. And when it warms up on days like today, they're back out. So this is really a good tick day. I've had them in every month of the year. So I'm doing a tick check tonight. Boy, there are a lot of deer out here. I've seen sign all over the place. Fresh droppings quite a bit. Old rubs, places where they bedded down. There's a really good deer population out here. That's pretty evident. But they have very limited hunting seasons out here. And it's on a lottery. I've never known anybody who even won the draw on the lottery to hunt here. All right, I'm back. And he popped out maybe about 100 yards west of this 8.5 mile marker. So there's this old road bed that goes maybe 2.5, 3 miles on this ridge line, and before it drops down into a valley on each end of that section. And the mounds I'm looking for are off to the side of this road. So I've got about, at 8.5, I've got about a mile and, oh, I've got a long ways to go back to where I was to try and find those mounds. And if I don't, then this way's to the car. I've got about 3 hours of daylight, and that should be sufficient time. And that's what I came here for. I mean, the rest of it's been a blast. I've really had a good time today, but I want to find those mounds. And you know, I'm sure they're debris mounds, just like the other area was, but you know, it's the last thing I know of in the entire Weldon Spring area that I probably haven't documented on video. So I just want to get that done, and I can feel like I've totally exhausted this area. And then on to newer things. I'm stopped. Every time I think I found a little opening or path back to where those mounds were, it just kind of peters out and there's nothing there. I'm not finished, but you know, I'm starting to wonder if my memory's that accurate. You know, while I'm walking along, I'm reflecting on those two camp build-outs. That were, you know, the one that was there in the bunker compound area. That one I could sort of see. It's a bit of a bushwhack, but it's not that hard. It's not that far, let's put it that way. It does get kind of thick, brushy. But the other one, that little corral fence kind of camp, that was, I don't know how they would find it a second time. I couldn't find it unless I marked it with a GPS or something like that. But I couldn't go back now and find it. And I mean, there was a lot of material there, a lot of heavy stuff, so it's really interesting. I can't imagine what inspires somebody to do something like that, unless it's maybe just like a little, you know, stealth camp kind of thing. Maybe something like that they visit occasionally. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's just, I mean, that was way out in the middle of nowhere. Well, let's see if maybe this will get us back. Well, it's opening up in sections. Kind of has the feeling of an old road bed. I'm not sure yet. Piece of concrete, pipe, culvert pipe, or something like that. This definitely is banked with drainage on each side like a road bed would be. There's no gravel or anything. Oh, there is a little bit of, few traces of gravel on it. All right, this is worth exploring. Well, it's just petered out into nothing. Not even really evidence of it being a road anymore. So I'm sure it was built for a reason, to be used for something at one time. There's just no signs of anything left behind other than that piece of concrete. Alright, and it's not moundy either. I suspect that, I know there was a pretty good road system up in here somewhere, old roads, but now I'm not trusting my memory on the mounds. That's interesting. Well, let's continue exploring. Alright, I'm back at the 90, so I'm 3-4 miles away from the car. And I'm looking off to my right for the old roadbed system. I mean, other than the few I've been on, and the mounds. So I'm going to try and count the valleys coming off this ridge line we're on. I know that the convergence of the first and second valley is where the bunker is. Last time I found the mounds on a bushwhack, I went kind of east out that side of the bunker fence complex. So it's a ways back towards the car. I do want to show you something I just saw over here I've never seen before, like a little culvert or something, and then we'll start walking down the trail back to the car. So it's kind of cool. We've got this old clay pipe for a culvert with just a stacked stone wall. There's no mortar in there. I haven't seen anything like that out here before. It just goes under the old roadbed. Huh. Alright, so what's interesting is I definitely remember this. We explored it earlier as one of the old road beds, one of the intersections with the road that's now the trail. We have this old marker post that's been out here for decades. That's how I remember that. And then about 100 yards down is another one that is still rather distinct that we explored earlier. And they made kind of a semicircle between the two and then branched out in the network of roads, and the mounds were down those roads farther behind me. I think what's happened is it's so overgrown now that I just can't even find the old road beds, but I'll show you the other one that I distinctly remember off this trail. And this is the other old road bed. They made a half circle off of this road that the camera's on, that the trail is now. And then there were branching roads off of that. It's a really large flat ridgeline hilltop here. And then back in there was, I remember some chunks of asphalt and gravel, road beds in between mounds. I'm just not able to find it now. The brush is so thick. I'm going to continue to search on the way back to the car. I'll let you know in a little bit. Well, we're close enough to the car, a mile and a half. I'm pretty sure that we've seen all we're going to find today, but found some really cool stuff nonetheless. And I'm going to just have to assume that everything I was looking for as far as the old road system and mounds up here at the northern part of the Lost Valley area is just so overgrown now. It'd just be, I don't know how you find it. You know, but I'm sure they were probably debris mounds just like the ones we saw a few weeks ago. So I hope you enjoyed our time together. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye-bye.